buckle up for this next segment, too, because I know you're excited to hear what Hillary Rodham Clinton has to say about politics. She did a big interview with Financial Times. Lots of it was cringeworthy, including there was a section where she was talking about Putin, and she was like very upset about his manspreading, which I thought, of all the things you're going to be upset with Putin about, that's the one.
Of course she is.
That's the one we're going to lean into. But the piece that really caught people's attention, and we can go ahead, we got the tear sheet, we can put it up on the screen, is she was asked, and again, I have no idea why you would ask this lady this question other than to do the polar opposite of what she says. But she was asked about Democrats and how best to win elections. So this writer says, I say that Democrats seem to be going out of their way to lose elections by elevating activist causes, notably the transgender debate, which are relevant only to a small minority. What sense does it make to depict J.K. Rowling as a fascist? To my surprise, Clinton shares the premise of my question. Quote, we are standing on the precipice of losing our democracy, and everything that everybody else cares about then goes out the window, she says. Look, the most important thing is to win the next election. The alternative is so frightening that whatever does not help you win should not be a priority. And she named checks defund the police because, of course, that's the go-to boogeyman for all of these people. I mean, listen, however you feel about transgender issues, however you feel about defund the police, first of all, I would say that outside of the activist community, this is not the focus of what Democrats are talking about right now, by and large. That's
it's not
number one.
2020 anymore.
But number two, like we were talking about this, at this point, what does AOC saying Latinx have to do with your gas prices? I mean, it's just so mind-numbingly stupid to think that that's the biggest problem that Joe Biden is facing right now. It is very clear. The issue Joe Biden is facing is you have like 75% of the country that says we're on the wrong track. You've got massive inflation. You've got people struggling to put food on their table and put gas in their gas tanks. It is that simple. And you cannot blame the left for any of that. Your dude is in charge. So if you want to point fingers, look to him. But once again, I don't know why we're asking Miss, like, I don't know if I should campaign in Michigan for advice on winning elections.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's also fascinating that she engages in this, like, we are about to lose our democracy, the precipice, all of that. Well, who actually scores well whenever you talk about democracy? This poll is so funny. Let's throw this on the screen. This is the latest poll from Fox News. And yes, I know it's from Fox, but it's not like their polling division has anything, it's generally pretty good. They say, well, which party is trying to win and preserve democracy? And they say that Republicans, by a margin, yes, of only one vote, actually cares about preserving American democracy.
It's even worse. They say, who would do a better job of preserving American democracy?
Okay, so they say, well, it's a virtual tie within the actual American people. And also, don't forget this. Remember the K&S rule of polling? You should generally add +7 whenever it comes to a Republican, given how we saw the 2020 election results unfold. So given both the margin of error, which they are tied in this actual poll, and the general trend to undersample, at the very least, Trump Republicans or Trump-type support, it is likely that the Republicans actually do come out ahead on preservation of American democracy. So what does that tell you?
You can't, on the one hand, say that we're on the precipice of losing our democracy. The only thing that matters is to win the election. And then turn around and look at the issues that people care about and say, yeah, those aren't the issues you should care about, and we're not going to do anything about those issues, right? If you actually think the stakes of this election are existential, which, we've talked about the dude in Pennsylvania as a chance to, appoint a secretary. Like, these are not good things, right? If you genuinely think that this election is existential, then deliver for the American people so they want to vote for you. How about that? And number two, I mean, so much of it, and I know Hillary is not at least the actual head of the Democratic Party anymore, even though she still has a lot of sway, apparently, and still gets asked questions like this. But you also can't say that the stakes are existential and then prop up candidates who, in Republican primaries, who are, diehard Stop the Steelers and play with fire like that. And again, Pennsylvania is the perfect example there. So everything about this is so silly and disconnected and condescending and just absurd that, again, the only reason to ask her this question is to do the polar opposite of what she's saying.
She's not wrong that Democrats do need to win elections if they, do actually care about this. But
Yeah.
I just don't think that she knows a damn thing about winning elections. I mean, that's
Right.
actually what it comes down to. That's why I don't really know why it was even worth like sitting down for her in such a long spread. As you said, also the idea that she thinks one of the biggest problems with Putin is that he was manspreading. That actually really ties back to that monologue you did about how she really does like typify the tipping point of modern feminism and turning people against it.
Yeah.
That poll result actually that we cited has only been affirmed even more recently, which is that older males, older white males specifically, are actually more comfortable with the idea of feminism than younger white males today in 2022.
Because younger white males, I mean, I don't want to say it was only Hillary Clinton, but
it is a big part.
If you're a younger male, Democrat or Republican, and you're told feminism is like making sure Hillary Clinton can be president of the United States, you might feel like this may not be for me.
Yeah.
And not only that, but like if you're on the other side of that, if you were a Bernie Sanders supporter in the Democratic primary, that you're a sexist and you're an anti-feminist, like anyway, go back and watch my monologue for fuller thoughts on that topic, because I do think it is a very interesting and illustrative trend that is worth digging into.
Oh, absolutely. I think she's absolutely at the center of it. And I think that Hillary, the fact that she talks this way in this apocalyptic language, and then that the Republicans are actually beating them whenever it comes to the genuine polling results, that tells you a lot about the actual political efficacy of her argument and then of the Democratic establishment today.
Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.